Now moving on to the third topical issue in Anam on Choc to Kieran O Donnell to discuss plans to facilitate the transfer of King John's Castle to Limerick City and County Council.
Thanks very much, Kieran Corley, and thanks for facilitating me to bring up this very important issue. King's John Castle is synonymous with Limerick City, and anyone who looks at items in the media, the first place you think of is King's John's Castle. It has been part of the Shannon heritage, the Shannon group, for a long number of years. Prior to that, it was within the Shannon Development Group. An agreement has been reached between the Shannon Group and Limerick City and County Council that King's John's Castle would be transferred to Limerick City and County Council, effective from next Monday, the 4th of April. I know many of the staff working there, they're excellent, and it's agreed that there's a full transfer of undertaking, so all the staff that are currently in King's John's Castle, and there's 14 staff along with maybe part-timers during the summer months, that they'll automatically transfer. It's going into a wholly owned subsidiary of Limerick City and County Council, Discover Limerick. It's a designated activity company, a DAC. So the questions I suppose I have, Minister, are number one, Limerick City and County Council have submitted a proposal via the Shannon Group to your department in terms of a funding gap for the first 3 years to enable it to have a smooth transition. And the Minister will be aware that it had 111,000 passengers coming through it, 111,000 tourists visiting the site back in 2019, and that had dropped to, in 2 years ago, down to 50,000, and last year it was down to 24,000 tourists. So what we want to do is we want to put in a financial position that can come back to those numbers. Limerick City and County Council have put this proposal both to your department via the Shannon Group and directly to their own line department, Department of Housing. Already Limerick City and County Council very much look forward to taking over the running of King John's Castle along with the employees. They've put €500,000 into Discover Limerick DAC, which will be looking after all tourist activities. That particular company is the company responsible for the management operation of King John's Castle. However, with the move over, items that would have been dealt with under the Shannon Group, like their IT systems, financial, human resources, marketing and sales and legal, they all now would have to be dealt specifically by Limerick City and County Council, and they will require major set-up costs. Furthermore, Limerick City and County Council have already put in place a financial controller. They're advertising for sales and marketing official as well. So really what I want, Minister, from you today is a commitment from government that I understand discussions are ongoing between Limerick City and County Council and the departments. What I want to see is that a commitment from government to this funding, whatever funding is required to enable that smooth transition, will be forthcoming. However, the good news is Limerick City County Council will, the King John's Castle is already operating 7 days a week now, and come the 4th of April, which is next Monday, Limerick City and County Council will continue to operate King John's Castle on a 7-day-a-week basis with the 14 employees and with the summer workers to come on board as well. And in fact are looking to grow the business there, but we need initial government support over the first 3 years to ensure that we can get to a point where King John's Castle is performing at a premium and it gets to that 111,000 tourists per annum and much higher. Thank you.
For giving me the opportunity to update the House on this topic. As members are aware, Shannon Group informed my department in the summer of 2020 that it was necessary to consider a comprehensive and radical adjustment to its structure. This was necessary due to the capital investment required to maintain the heritage sites and the lack of expertise in maintaining the sites in the group. This was further impacted by the onset of COVID-19. In 2021, several options were presented in a memo for government, and the Government considered that the most appropriate option was for Shannon Group to explore the potential to transfer Shannon Heritage to the local authorities. It was considered that this was the best way to secure the longer-term viability of the business and the interests of Shannon Heritage employees, while maintaining the intrinsic heritage value of the sites for current and for future generations. Since that time, Shannon Group has engaged in and is continuing to engage with the relevant local authorities in relation to the transfer of the sites and the businesses of these key sites. This includes the transfer of King John's Castle to Limerick City and County Council. The agreement of the Minister for Public Expenditure and Reform and the Minister for Housing, Local Government and Heritage will be required to execute the transfer of the castle, and my department is engaging with both departments in this regard. I'm also continuing to engage with the OPW and the Department of Housing in relation to the conservation of the castle. As the castle, as you know, is a national monument, the OPW has responsibilities in relation to its conservation and maintenance. And in preparation for undertaking this role, the OPW has been carrying out the necessary assessment of the castle to inform the programme of works needed and the associated costs. Shannon Group will continue to operate and manage the Shannon Heritage business prior to any transfer of King John's Castle to Limerick City and County Council. It will also do so in line with its commercial mandate, fiduciary best practice, and with awareness of the Group's accountability for the proper management of the company. This government implemented a range of horizontal economy-wide supports early in the COVID-19 pandemic. Shannon Heritage has benefited from these supports, including the Employment Wage Subsidy Scheme, and the continuation of government support to Shannon Group through the subsequent extension of EWIS enabled King John's Castle to remain open during the winter of 2021 and into spring of this year. And although the castle operated with reduced opening hours during this time, EWIS support meant that Shannon Group did not have to close the castle completely in September 2021 for the winter season, as had been previously indicated. COVID-19, as we all know, has had a huge impact on all tourism and heritage sites since the beginning of the pandemic. However, there are grounds for optimism, as you've highlighted, Deputy, including a welcome increase in visitor numbers. And I understand King John's Castle is currently open, as you have stated, open on a 7-day-week basis. And my department will continue to work with Shannon Group, the relevant departments, to ensure that the transfer of King John's Castle will proceed as planned, placing it in a positive position for the benefit from increased visitor numbers. And you made reference, Deputy, to the 4th of April and that deadline, and just to assure you that there is ongoing engagement between my department, Department of Transport, and the Department of Housing around that funding gap. And there are meetings. I know we have asked the Department of Housing to engage with us to see what we can do to try and bridge that funding gap. And also today my department is meeting with the Department of Tourism and Culture. We've had previous meetings, and Fáilte Ireland will be present at that also in relation to looking at other funding sources. So the priority here is to ensure that this transfer proceeds as quickly as possible and that King John's Castle has the required funding to be able to be viable into the future, and you have my sincere commitment on that.
Yeah, I want to thank the Minister for that positive update. Minister, I welcome the fact the OPW are taking care of the structural repairs on King John's Castle. I welcome the fact that it's formally coming under the guardianship of Limerick City and County Council. You're obviously aware, Minister, Limerick City and County Council got Grant Thornton to prepare a funding gap report, which you've referenced. I very much welcome that detailed discussion taking place, being spearheaded by your department, involving the Department of Housing and obviously the Department of Tourism as well. This has to happen. I want to, I suppose, pay tribute to the Limerick City County Council. They've been proactive on this. They've put $500,000 of their money into a company, a Discovery, a 100% wholly owned company within the Limerick City County Council, Discover Limerick DAC, to ensure that this transition can take place from next Monday, the 4th of April. What we now want, Minister, is to ensure that whatever funding gap is there for the first 3 years is put in place. I very much take your assurances in that area. I know there are discussions ongoing. These are very constructive discussions. My role here today is to ensure that momentum continues, and what I want to see is that King John Castle can now grow even further. 111,000 people coming through the gates of King John's Castle on an annual basis is a huge number. But I think that's only really the start. And the fact that we now have an opportunity, Limerick City and County Council are preparing through Discover Limerick, are looking to prepare a strategic plan in terms of growing tourism in Limerick City involving King John's Castle, and that's something I very much welcome. So, Minister, I very much look forward to the conclusion of those discussions. So we have absolute certainty, and I want to finally pay huge compliment to the staff. The 14 staff are excellent. I know them, and really I think they will bring a huge wealth of experience to Limerick City County Council with King John's Castle. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy. And I just want to, I suppose, reiterate the government's that government recognises the importance of King John's Castle to the people of Limerick and also to the Midwest region. And I too want to just compliment Limerick City and County Council for their endeavours and their, I suppose, the goodwill in relation to the engagement. So work is ongoing between my department, the Department of Housing, around that funding gap, and we're doing everything we can to ensure that that happens as quickly as possible. And also, as I say, engaging today with the Department of Tourism and Culture around possible funding sources there as well. So you can be assured that this is a high priority. It is moving in the right direction, and my department is doing everything, working with government colleagues to ensure that this progresses. And I would be happy to update you as we get that over the line. Thank you.